I think my first experience was when a friend of mine went into the Marine Corps and came back on leave. And he was so drastically changed by his training that he became kind of brutalized. I mean, all he wanted to do was wrestle, and he was wrestled really rough and threw me around the room. And because he had taken some, wrestling or, karate stuff. And so it was kind of strange to me. And then when I was 19, I was actually in college, but the college failed to send my transcripts in, so I got a notice that I was going to be drafted. And so rather than wait, I just went ahead and what you call volunteer for the draft. So, and a month later, I got my draft notice. When you go into the military, you no longer live in a democracy. You live under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is a totally different system. Not fair all the time either, but they do that to maintain discipline. So they can do a lot of different things to you that they can't do to you as a citizen of the country. So, although we were still citizens, but we didn't feel that way. First thing they told us was, you are no different than your weapon. You are expendable. And so, all those things that they did made us feel like, everything was in question at that point, and we didn't know, we didn't really understand yet. So then we went into the training, and we did a lot of marching and a lot of low crawling, and we were getting yelled at constantly, because the whole premise of going in the military at that point was to break you down and then make you work as a team. So they demoralized you to the point that you identified with all your peers. And we were in a company of 230 guys, and it pretty much worked. I mean, if anybody screwed up, everybody got punished for it. One guy throws a cigarette butt on the ground, you all fall on your bellies and do the low crawl and pick up every cigarette butt you can find. Just things like that. It was just, and so then during training, they did, at that time, they did a lot of stuff they don't do anymore, but we witnessed a guy get killed during training, so that really set the tone for, we finally realized that this is pretty serious what's going on here. Well, they try to make you do teamwork things, and so we were, I don't know, you've probably seen Special Forces carrying logs or boats over their head. Well, we had a log, and we were running. He had us running with this log, and there was like probably 8 or 10 of us holding this log up, and you had to extend your arms up. You had to get it up, and they'd yelling at you, the whole time yelling at you. And we were running, and then somebody stumbled, and then somebody fell, and then everybody started letting go, and the last guy didn't let go. He was hanging on to it, and the back of the log hit the ground, and then just the momentum came down and hit him right in the back of the head. Fell down, his head just swelled up in no time. In his eyes, I mean, it was just, and we were all standing there, but then this first sergeant, or the drill sergeant, was trying to give him first aid, but he just died right there in front of us. It just bled out, and it was just, that was a pretty defining moment, making us realize that, this might not be the last person we see die, and the reality was just like, it was like a shock wave that just hit you, and that's one of those pictures that your mind takes, that it never goes away. Yeah, I don't know, I just don't think of it as a really, really good time. I mean, and so they were training us as if we were all going to war. So they wanted to train you to be a killer. So you were constantly yelling, kill, 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 while you're stabbing dummies. And so it was pretty traumatic for somebody, of your age. I was about your age. I was 19 when I got drafted. So it was pretty traumatic, but it made you realize that you were going into harm's way, that you needed to try to be ready. And so the mood of everybody kind of changed into a more serious tone, because then everybody realized that we weren't playing kid games anymore. This was the real world. Then I got sent to Oklahoma for my training, and then when I was about a year into my service time, they sent me to Thailand, and I was in northern Thailand for 1 year, and then I was discharged out of the Army there. So, but I was lucky. I didn't go to the war zone, but we were. I don't know if you know where Thailand is in relation to Vietnam. Vietnam, and then you have Laos and Cambodia, and then Thailand next to it. And we had a lot of insurgency there, so it wasn't like, it was not totally safe, but I mean, I was there 3 weeks and we got shot at, so, you know, again, then it makes you just like, wow, you know, this is serious, you know, what's going on here, so. But all in all, we had it really good compared to the guys who were stationed in Vietnam, so. Well, that first one was when we got shot at. I was working on a tank farm, and we were chopping weeds off the side of the berm, because in the Army, if you're not doing something, they're going to yell at you, so you need to be busy all the time. So we were chopping weeds off the berms around this huge tank that had JP4 jet fuel in it, and we were just chopping away, and we heard this ding, 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 and we looked around, and on the next berm of the next tank, the dirt is flying. The sergeant comes running out of the tent and starts yelling, "Incoming, incoming!" And so we were like, "Whoa!" And then so we ran down inside the thing, and then the Thai Army, which was surrounded our base, because at the time you had an Air Force and Army back to back in a lot of different places in Thailand, because we were bombing Hanoi from Thailand. So they wanted to stop us. They wanted to try to do things that would slow us down. They were trying to blow those tanks up. That's what they were shooting at. But so that, and then one other time, they had a theater on post, and we were watching a movie, and it just got dark. It had windows all along the top of the theater, on the sides, and in an instant, it was like, for 2 seconds, it was bright as day. And then it went dark, and then a concussion hit the building and just, boom, just rocked the building. You could just feel the building just move like that, and all the glass crashed into the building. And we thought we were, and the sergeants started yelling, you know, "Incoming, incoming." So they had bunkers outside, and they would run down and jump in the bunkers, because we thought we were getting mortared, you know, at the time. Well, what happened is they had bomb storage, and somebody had booby-trapped a 1,000-pound bomb that went off probably a mile away from us, and it set off a concussion of other bombs right there next to it, because they were for the Air Force jets. You know, they were stored them on our side of the base. So, and we thought we were being attacked at that point. So that was, you know, that was pretty freaky, because we weren't supposed to have weapons in Thailand, so we didn't have any way to defend ourselves. So it was kind of an uneasy feeling, but. I mean, actually, we had it pretty good. We could go downtown. We could get a weekend pass and go downtown. We did for the first 6 months, and then they were having a lot of insurgency, and so we would enjoy ourselves. We'd go down there and you know, eat a good meal and wander around, and we actually had it pretty good. And then after the first 6 months, they started having more problems downtown. GIs getting knifed and slashed with razor blades and, you know, different things, and then they started restricting us. We would just get an evening pass. You'd have to be back on base, and probably so many I can't even say. I can't think of, you know, particularly anything, but, you know, you make such good friends in the military, because, you know, you get closer to them than you ever got to your family, because you're in these desperate situations, you feel like, and you just expose yourself, and so you get really close to other people. And so I made some really close friends, but, you know, just never kept in contact because of the memories of what happened, and people that I knew. I didn't like going back to that memory, so all those relationships kind of faded. But I mean, I still have things that happen. And you're young like you are, and you might have memories of when you were really young and something happened traumatic in your life, and your mind is like a camera. It takes a picture of something, and you just never forget those pictures. So it's a pretty emotional time. I mean, when you're young and when you're young and bulletproof, like you guys, you just feel like nothing can really happen to you, and but then during that time we realize that life is pretty precious. So. You mean back to the United States? At the time, there was a lot of peace movement things going on. The hippies and, Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. And I actually left the country from Oakland, California, which is next to San Francisco. And a friend of mine drove me up there. So we went to Haight-Ashbury during 1967, when it was in its heyday. So we drove up and down there, and I saw, what all these people, it was all free love, and and then the other side of the coin was, if you were in the military, you were totally on the opposite side. I mean, not that I didn't respect what they were trying to do or say, but it's like two different worlds you were living in. And then when I came back, it was like we were disrespected because we had gone and killed babies, they said, I mean, all these things that we were accused of doing. So you didn't wear your uniform. If somebody asked you if you'd been in the military, no, you wouldn't say that. Where now I'm pretty proud of the fact that I did what I did, but. Yeah, because they didn't have any understanding. They were like I was before I left, although I didn't really have an opinion about it. But there was a lot of anti-war activism, and they were in a sense brainwashed in the other direction. Yeah. So I mean, I understood why they were saying what they said, because they were ignorant basically of the situation and the reasons why we were there. I mean, it's pretty vague. They were pretty vague at that time even. So, but, after getting back, then I realized that those kinds of things in the world are kind of necessary, because if we allow bullies to just bully other people, or one country to bully another, or whatever, then we end up in that situation like we did in World War II, where we could have just as easily been run over had we just sat there and waited for them to come, But that greatest generation stepped up and volunteered by the hundreds of thousands to go.